Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are just around the corner, and as a longtime Pokemon fan, I have to say something that has been bothering me for a long time. I am very nervous for future Pokemon games. Obviously, these two new games are not a part of the main franchise. This is not Gen 8. It's sort of a remake of Pokemon Red and Blue, except not really. If I had to describe this to someone, I would say it's a mixture between a Gen 1 remake and Pokemon Go for the Switch. I mean, hey, I'm not too far off here. But anyways, getting back to what I'm trying to say here, I have officially decided that these two games are simply not for me. They've created a game that is more appealing to those who are new to Pokemon, whether it be from age or lack of experience. It's fine, really. It's honestly not the worst thing in the world because we're definitely getting a new main game for the Switch, eventually. And like I said, this game is made for other players. The reason Pokemon Go was so big was because you didn't have to play the main games to understand them. My girlfriend played a good deal of Pokemon Go when it first came out, so this game is probably more appealing to her than it is for me. It's a bit frustrating to see this sort of stuff happening. Hell, Fire Red and Leaf Green are way better remakes than this. But there are bigger reasons why I'm nervous about future Pokemon games. Let's first talk about recent Pokemon news. To promote Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a brand new Pokemon was released into Pokemon Go. As usual, the internet blew up because it's kind of a big deal. I'll admit, this was a fantastic way to get people talking about Pokemon. However, is this really the Pokemon they chose to show off? It's just such a dumb design. And yes, I'm well aware that Gen 1 Pokemon didn't have the coolest designs either. I can't deny it. However, if you're going to show off a brand new Pokemon in 2018, I really feel like it would be smart to show off something cool looking or tough. Something that most people would be interested in. This is the type of Pokemon I would try running from due to lack of interest, like Raticate or Zubat.
Now, and of course, there's this update of the evolution of Meltan. What the fuck is this design? Just no.
Meltan isn't really the worst of it. At the end of the day, there's no harm. It's just another Pokemon to get people talking. However, let's look back at previous Pokemon games. Your opinion will differ from mine, but here are the Pokemon games that I love. For now, I'm just sticking with a love it or hate it factor here. We can go into specifics in another video, but right now, I'm just going to quickly show you which games I love and think are great Pokemon games. Other than X and Y, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald are the last Pokemon games that really stuck out to me. Hell, I think Aurez was slightly better than X and Y. That was a phenomenal remake. But the last few games have left me either forgetting about them or having unpleasant feelings toward them. There's also been a huge lack of post-game lately. That's why I love Gen 2 so much. There's hours of post-game, leaving you with plenty to do. So what's the biggest issue going on with recent Pokemon games? Good gosh, it's the freaking hand-holding. I couldn't wait for Sun and Moon to end because it holds your hand so much. Like, for fuck's sake, stop. I just want to play the game. Why? Every 10 steps you take, someone is there explaining something to you or handing you items you are more than capable of purchasing yourself. Game Freak, what are you doing? This is so frustrating to see happen because these last few games look gorgeous. Honestly, you know how cool it would be to be playing games that looked like this as a kid? The stories have been real interesting too. I'll give Game Freak and Nintendo that much. But seriously, they need to knock it off with the hand-holding. They didn't have nearly as much of it in the older games. I understand they don't want to turn away younger or newer players, but can't you at least have an option to turn this shit off? Honestly, I don't even want to replace Sun or Moon, and I didn't even bother with Ultra Sun or Moon. Looking back at Gen 7, I just find myself feeling disappointed and wanting so much more. The Z moves made everything unnecessarily easy. Yes, it's kinda cool, but I didn't need it. The Totem Pokemon were incredibly disappointing. There was nothing wrong with the 8 gyms. Just don't try to fix something that isn't broken. It would be totally different if the Totem Pokemon were an addition to the game, not a replacement. So I've slowly noticed a small trend with the franchise that makes me especially nervous. It's slowly becoming less about catching tough Pokemon to battle and becoming the best. First off, obviously, that's never been the one single factor that makes Pokemon. The coolest thing about this franchise is that it holds a special place to millions of people for dozens of different reasons. But the catching and battling used to be the biggest reasons. Lately, it feels like Nintendo is focusing more on cute Pokemon, customizing and giving your cute Pokemon haircuts, playing with them, and just being friends. For instance, look at their commercials. The old commercials literally talk about new adventures, new Pokemon to catch, new badges to collect, and becoming a master of the Pokemon universe. New commercials certainly don't have that vibe anymore. They are far more focused on kids making friends. I don't mean to come off as complaining about that. The new commercials are appealing and family friendly. Nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't have the same grittiness that the older ads did, the ones that made me want to play Pokemon. Glancing back at the show and movies, it also took the same effect. Remember Mewtwo Strikes Back? That's a tough Pokemon movie to beat. It's got action, story, battles. That's what we want. Remember Destiny Deoxys? I was so pumped for a movie about an outer space Pokemon. It was going to be so epic. We got a pissed off Rayquaza ready to fight. Space 2 was just looking for his friend. It was friendship all along. That's all I really have to say at this point. I'll agree, some of the new Pokemon look dumb, but the same applies to the original 150. I'm getting sick of the firefighting starters, and even though this one is technically Fire Dark, they shouldn't have made him look like Squanchy. Legendaries used to feel legendary. Now there's so many of them, and you're almost always guaranteed to catch them. I hope I'm not coming off too biased and nostalgic. I want new Pokemon games to be extremely fun and kick ass. I'm just nervous at this point. Optimistically cautious, one could say. I remember the days when we eagerly waited for the newest Pokemon game to come out, and when it did, I sank hours and hours into it. I actually felt like I was exploring a world. And maybe it's just me, but I haven't had that feeling with a Pokemon game in a while. Auras was probably the last time that happened. But what do you guys think of all this? Do you think the next Pokemon game for the Switch will be a success? Am I wrong about the hand-holding stuff? Have these newer games lost that gritty Pokemon vibe? I'd love to hear what the new players think of all this too. Let me know in the comments.